is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. This right here is the Flex Network. Yeah. Flex on the G. Flex.
Oh, yes. Mother truckers. Here we are. It is double or nothing week. Okay. We're in this mother effer. We are ready. Okay. We're ready for AEW to just rock the world as if they didn't already the first time. That's why this is called Double or Nothing. But I'm excited about it. On the other side of the glass, halfway across the other side of the United States, Michael, how do you feel about Double or Nothing? What do you got going on for are you going to be watching it like live? You got a group of people. I don't mean to put you on Front Street, but
no, I got you. Hey, yeah, like Matt said, my name's Michael. I'm in Texas. Matt's in Seattle. So for those of you who don't know, Double or Nothing, I'm excited about it. I will actually be camping with the family for Memorial Day weekend, so I won't get a chance to watch it live, but I do plan on watching it once I get back. I'll be back on Monday. I know it comes on Saturday, so I will find out, or I guess I'll find a way to watch it as soon as I get home and, we get into chill mode, relax mode, whatever. So I'm looking forward to it. I was listening to Chris Jericho's podcast today. He's kind of talking about it and got me hyped all over again. And I just love some things that AEW is doing, and just like, as time goes on with AEW, they're slowly going to be bringing in more and more like talent and just names that people know. They actually already have quite a few names that people know, but I'm looking forward to seeing what they're going to bring to the table. I'm just overall excited about it.
Yeah, so I wanted to start this podcast or whatever we got going on here a little bit just with like maybe let's take a breaker from AEW, kind of transition real quick. So maybe I'm a little behind, or no, I'm actually not behind at all, but so Conrad Thompson, he started he's got a couple good podcasts going right now. So one of them, Grilling JR, phenomenal podcast. I believe it's relatively new. It's really just kind of getting into the Attitude Era, just about like little different incidences about, Razor Ramon leaving, about the curtain call. They talked a little bit about how they lost power one time during a paper, I believe it was during a pay-per-view or a taped like pay-per-view or something what they were doing. But really, really fun podcast. And then through that, I actually found Eric Bischoff's 83 Weeks. I've heard a lot about this already. I just had never really gone and took the time to go search it out and find it. So if you are a wrestling fan, I would really like to plug those two podcasts. To be honest, they're phenomenal. I mean, like for me, I would, I guess the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, just the whole idea behind them, they really promoted and lifted wrestling to this new era. I think that's kind of, our age group. I don't know, and it seems like most of our viewership, the age group is somewhere in the 25 to 35, 25 to 40, which I think at that time, you really grew up on the Monday Night Wars. I can remember when I was a kid, just like, oh man, okay, this match went to commercial, let me flip right to WWF, and then flip right back. And I will admit, during the Monday Night Wars, I was more of we're watching WCW, and then we flip to Monday Night Raw. like, and then because it started an hour earlier, I believe, and then it was just they captivated me. And then one of my favorite guys from the WWF all of a sudden pops up onto WCW, Razor Ramon. To me, I was just like, what's going on? Because Razor was like my favorite wrestler. I don't know why, but just everything about his moves, his character. He was one of my absolute favorite wrestlers of that time. And so during all this time, it's just I was a kid. And probably you were a kid, okay? Not just you, Michael, but our viewers, who might catch on to this. For me, I'm an analytics guy. I'm a guy that, I want to go back and I want to review, like let's say it's football. I want to review the stats from the previous year. I want to dig deep into what made a player good or what made I'm just a history type buff, as far as that goes. I always want to see, when the greats were doing great things, what was the behind the scenes. And I think those little intricate behind the scenes documentaries or instances where you can take a look in. We're going to get a taste of Joey Ryan's documentary, which is supposed to be phenomenal, which I believe is debuting this weekend for the Double or Nothing kind of weekend. They got StarCast going on there with everybody, and I'm hearing rumblings that this movie is not only just an independent film, but it's going to like film festivals because they believe it's just so well done. And Joey Ryan is a what do you call it, he's a big character, I guess you could say. He's got all eyes on him for a lot of what he does. I don't know, the he's famous for the dick flip, you know what I mean? Or someone grabs on to the genitalia of this man, and he, with the strength of his second member, he will flip. And we've seen it, a line of people he is flipping with his genitalia. And, it's just great. So I just first want to plug those two podcasts. If you were a fan or you were a child back then, just following it every bit, magazine, you were picking up magazines, you were checking the PW, I think it's PWI, top 500. This is for you. Eric Bischoff, whether or not he remembers everything, or some people are giving him a little bit of flack about how, oh, Eric, you act like you don't remember it. But I mean, I think it's kind of true. I mean, if you were living it yourself, it's not like you are necessarily documenting everything you do because it's going to be great. Who knew, really?
That's one of the things that, like, listening to that podcast, that I kind of told myself is like, two people who are in the same like Eric Bischoff's running WCW, right? So like maybe there's someone else who was talent at the time or was like managing someone or whatever. They might remember things differently. And the thing I come back to is like, you have to remember that like one guy is Eric Bischoff, one guy, he's like the captain, he's running the show. And then another guy's just like talent. He's in a very specific role. So of course you're going to remember things differently. Like there's going to be things that happen consistently that Eric Bischoff doesn't even see because there are people who are below him who are in positions to say like, oh, we need to, we need to, we need to handle this, like Eric Bischoff puts those guys in position and pays them and all that stuff. It's not a big deal. And so like, that's one thing to remember. So like maybe some of it, him not remembering things is part of age, because I'm not sure how old he is now,
He's
but
63.
I was gonna say last time I seen him, he had a full head of gray hair. So like he's older. And so like to say that, oh, you're just remembering it differently, and he's probably remembering it to the best of his ability, but things are just different. He isn't in a situation where like he's just, I don't believe so anyway. I don't think he's in a situation where he's purposely saying things a different way. I
Yeah,
feel like
to be
he's
like malicious or to
yeah
be like,
yeah. I feel like he's authentic about it.
that's what it sounds like, at least, you know. But maybe we give him too much the benefit of the doubt. I don't know. Have you been able to catch a couple episodes since I kind of told you about it? It's been relatively recent, so I again don't mean to put you on the spot.
No, so I listened to their latest episode, which was they were interviewing a guy named, well, his name is Guy. I can't remember what his last name is, but he wrote a book that chronicled like the Monday Night Wars and everything, the rise and fall and all that stuff. And so he had kind of talked about it. They talked about some different people and roles that they played, but it's one of those things that like that guy who wrote the book said he spent X amount of years gathering like quotes um, and it's kind of well respected from people who are either involved with the Monday Night Wars or just WCW in general, because when he would approach them and say, "Look, I'm trying to get as much information, as much inside scoop as I can about WCW and how it all went down and everything." And he said, "If it's okay with you, I don't want any of the things that we say here today to be off the record, but I also want you to understand that I'm not coming at this for a like we had said earlier, a malicious intent. You know, I don't want to put so and so on blast and make them look bad. I just want to tell the story. And so if I can get any inside scoop that, you know, that you've never told anyone, then that would be awesome, because I'm writing this book and I want it to be good." And so um and if there are people out there who read and are just specifically interested in that book, you could find that book. If all you have to do is type in WCW book on Amazon, and it pops up immediately, because I couldn't remember the name of it, and that's what I did, and it popped up. It was right there. But it is a good book, from what I've heard. I haven't read it, obviously. I just found out about the podcast like not too long ago, but it the podcast is good. I like the podcast so far. Eric Bischoff, of course, if you watched WCW on Mondays and stuff like that, or what was it? Thunder was on Thursdays.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so if you watch Monday Night Nitro or Thunder and you follow WCW, then you would enjoy it, because you like hearing Eric Bischoff and all that stuff. So overall, it's good, man. I really enjoy it.
Yeah, yeah. And then, you know, Eric Bischoff, you know, he's a good talker. He understands, you know, how to at least have it come across. And what I really do appreciate, because to be honest, up until this point, I have not been a big Conrad Thompson fan. No offense to him, because I appreciate everybody in the industry, and I think that, you know, just being able to be where he is, you know, doing what he's doing, it's just great. I just personally am not a big fan of him, but he is grilling Bischoff. I mean, I believe they just had kind of like an unwritten agreement about how, hey, if I catch you slipping up on some fucking facts, I'm going to say, hey, this is wrong. Like, don't be wrong. Like, and he calls him out. Like, in the third episode ever, he basically called him right to the carpet and said, "You're a fucking liar." You know what I mean? Like, and it's
Do you
kind of
remember what that
intense.
was over?
No, I don't, but go ahead and watch it. That's a plug.
Okay,
So,
yeah.
what I think about, or why I'm talking about the Monday Night Wars, and why it interests me so much, is because we're basically about to get into the new Monday Night Wars. You know,
Well, Tuesday.
well, yeah, it's going to be on Tuesday, so it doesn't matter, but they're warring, you know, and and maybe Tony Khan and you know, everybody else can talk about how they're not going against WWE. They don't want to go against WWE. I think I saw a tweet. I thought it came from AJ Styles. He said, "If you want to be successful, you will not go up against WWE," which I thought was disrespectful, because I get why you would say something like that, but if you also want to be successful, I feel like you have to go up against WWE.
Well, I agree. You just can't. You, I would just say that you can't come out the gates immediately and be like, oh, I'm just going one-on-one with WWE. You kind of have to get your legs underneath you and stuff like that, and then come for WWE. You've seen too many companies in the past that have tried to do some things and try and, like TNA tried for years, and it just didn't work. They couldn't, whatever formula they were using to try and compete with WWE, it didn't work for whatever reason. But the thing that I would say, Tony Khan and Cody Rhodes and Chris Jericho, whoever's talking on behalf of AEW, they
Matt and
keep
Nick
saying,
Jackson.
yeah, they keep saying that they're not there to challenge WWE or to go to war with WWE. They're just an alternative. That's what they keep saying. But the fact of the matter is, if they do this show this weekend, right, and you have all of these people who buy your show or show up. It's in Las Vegas, so a ton of people are going to show up. It's sold out. So, they show up there and it's a huge crowd. You get huge numbers off of the pay-per-views and all that stuff. It's going to take you down that path of competing with WWE. That's just the way that it's going to be. If you're creating something that is successful on that level, you can't help but compete with WWE. It's just the way it's going to go. And so I wouldn't necessarily say that it will happen that way, but they said that what's it called, Double or Nothing, right? They said that it sold out in 30 minutes after the tickets went on sale. That's insane.
Well, it's phenomenal. I mean, it truly is phenomenal. They did the same thing with All In. They went to a West Coast market and sold the place out, and that's hard to do. You hear from pretty much everybody on the western side of the United States that it's extremely difficult to get any mainstream wrestling out here. It just seems like the East Coast has the wrestling world on lock, and that's great.
Wrestling is so regional, like it started in, there's a lot of wrestling in the Atlanta, Georgia area. So they're, that's kind of where the roots of wrestling happened in the South, and then it worked its way to the East Coast. But you're right, West Coast is very, very difficult.
Yeah, and so and it's just weird because it's also that way with music. I feel like, or at least in the Northwest, it's almost like the Northwest, specifically where I am, is really impossible for any musical talent to come out of. Obviously California is its own freaking continent almost. They can produce anything that they want to because of Hollywood, and that's great. And so Vegas, I feel like not only is AEW trying to, just prove that they're here, but coming to Vegas, in my eyes, just as a UFC fan or what I call a former UFC fan, because I really don't watch the product anymore because wrestling is so incredibly on fire that I'm having fun. Like, I'm having so much fun watching wrestling, and UFC is taking a back seat. But what they're doing is they're proving they can sell out 14,000 seats, which honestly, I don't see UFC doing much of that anymore. And I've kind of claimed this for a long time, that the WWE product is better than the UFC product. It's the F word, fake to the UFC people. They're like, it's fake. It's not real. It's not supposed to be, it's a scripted event that challenges your, excitement, your emotion, your, everything. And to speak about what AEW is doing is they're attempting to bring traditionalist wrestling back to the market. What they're saying is wins and losses are going to matter. Title belts are going to matter. And we're going to get into that later. Matches, they're going to matter. Freaking, feuds, they're going to matter. Like, this stuff is all going to matter. And that's great, because it seems like WWE keeps adding titles, just these garbage storylines, terrible matches, commercials in the middle of a match. That's something that I thought really caught my eye. We heard from AEW that it seems, now I may have heard this wrong, but it seems as if AEW will not be going to commercial during a match. Like, to me, that's a huge deal, because if you can almost tell today in WWE, you throw a guy outside, you put him in a sleeper hold, and we'll be right back. It's like, well, fuck. Like, I might have just got into that match. It's like, it takes sometimes, maybe maybe the writing's not that great. Maybe the feuds, maybe it's a filler match, whatever. I'm just now getting into the athleticism of the match, and we're going to commercial. And
SmackDown's been doing that thing where they split off and they show like two smaller screens, and one small screen is still showing the match without the audio, and then there's another small screen that's running like a Burger King commercial or something.
Or Pets 2 was this week.
Yeah. You're like, I don't care, dude.
Well, here's the thing. I got a daughter. You got a daughter. So, yes, I actually do care, because I'm like, okay, I'm going to go see that Pets, movie. But, and so I get it. But the product still for WWE slid down during that Pets 2 commercial, which I will agree. I was like, yeah, that's right. That movie's coming out. I need to probably go see it, because Kevin Hart's in that movie and he's hilarious. And that's just something that reminds me of that. So I get why they do it, but it doesn't help the product. It helps the advertising. It helps their money. It helps the revenue, but it doesn't help the fan of pro wrestling, which, let's bring it back to the Monday Night Wars. When they were talking about the Monday Night Wars, and when you listen to that podcast, 83 Weeks, they talk a lot about the ratings. And the best, I will tell anybody right now, if you get a 1 month subscription to wait, can't you get your first month for free
with WWE Network?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you get WWE Network. It's $10 a month.
But the first month's free, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So you could sign up as like a free trial, and then if you cancel before the 30 days is up, they won't charge you. But
okay, so everybody that might ever listen to this, if you're not a member of the WWE Network, that is fine. What I suggest you to do is create a fake email account and go and register for a full month of the WWE Network for free. Cancel it at any time. It's super easy to cancel. It's not like it's hard. And go and watch the series, The Monday Night Wars, on the network. It is phenomenal. It is a great piece of recording. It does, in my eyes, kind of, shield, or not shield, but like it's almost like, everybody talks about news networks being right wing or left wing. So it's like the type of information that comes out is pro right wing or left wing. It's definitely pro WWE in my eyes. It doesn't go into super depth, but it's an incredible to me, it's like a docu-series. It's fun. Get a free subscription just to watch that and cancel it. Because it's an amazing, like, when I first came across it, I was like, oh my gosh. And so basically why we're talking about this is Double or Nothing is, in my eyes, trying to recreate the best that it can the Monday Night Wars. The idea behind a great company like WWE, which is a great company. They do things right most of the time. And then you got a company that's an upstart, an upstart with money, just like WCW was. And they're back on TNT, the same station that since WCW left has probably been praying for wrestling back, because it's just an incredible fan base. Yes, there's money to be made with the fan base, but it's pure. It's like buying merchandise. It's like, man, you want to own the shirts. You want to like these guys. And I'm just so ready for it. What do you think about this Double or Nothing event this weekend, and what does it mean to you?
Well, like I said earlier, I'm excited about it, but I'll be out of town, so I won't be able to watch it right there. But just the idea that there is someone who is considered to be viable competition for the WWE, whether it is truly competition or if it is just someone with deep pockets. I've heard that the Khan family itself, they are the one family that if they stick to their guns about not wanting to sell, like let's say AEW climbs up and they become this successful company, and Vince McMahon, the WWE, does the thing that they always try and do, which is just buy out their competition, that this is the family that like the money's not going to mean a lot to them because they have so much of it. So that's something to remember. There's some other things with talent and who they're bringing in. Like I just saw the AEW signed. He's going by a different name. I'm not sure what it is, but when he was in the WWE, he was Ty Dillinger. He just signed with AEW, and they're doing some great things as far as bringing in talent. And so I think they're going to be smart about it. And as WWE releases or people don't renew their contracts with WWE, then AEW will pick them up because it seems kind of like a trend right now that a lot of guys are and females also, female wrestlers, asking for their release because they're not happy with their role. And WWE is going to have to get to a point where they say, are we comfortable releasing this guy or this girl, knowing that they want out of their contract because they want to go somewhere where they're going to get used? So WWE is going to have to do one of two things. They're going to have to flat out release them, or they're going to have to put that person in a better storyline, in a better spotlight. So AEW is forcing WWE's hand on this, it seems like.
Or option 3 is, or they just pay them and don't put them on TV and try to ruin their career, because WWE has put their flag in the sand. They are not releasing anybody. They didn't release Luke Harper. Luke Harper asked for a release. Nope. You heard rumors that Sasha wanted a release. Didn't happen. That you can see didn't happen for a reason, because she is pretty much, they can't let her go, but I don't know that she necessarily wanted to.
If she left and went to AEW, she'd be the top female wrestler they have.
Not only would she be the top female wrestler, but she would be the entire reason WWE fell to the ground. How incredible is that? If Sasha Banks went to AEW after getting released from WWE, it would literally ruin WWE, because she would prove that people can go there and get paid fine. And I would assume, because she is so phenomenal, that she would prove that, like, hey, I'm a good wrestler. This is a profitable company that values who I am. And I would, there's no reason why AEW wouldn't be like, hey, just go do your thing. Like, you're great. Right. People already love you. So let's talk a little bit about the athletes. AEW this weekend, kind of a sad thing. Not sad, but one of the matches that I was really, really stoked about got called off. Hangman Page and Pac. Neville was his WWE name, and to be honest,
Pac was Neville in WWE.
Yeah, and so apparently there's some contract dispute about him losing the match or whatever, and AEW could have went a couple different about maybe sorry, I kind of muted myself on accident there. AEW could have done a couple different things. They could have even had the match end without a defeat, so there's just a couple different ways, but they ran that match in the UK. And you can see it on YouTube. It's a good match. It's a great match. But to me, I really wanted that match to start on Double or Nothing and then try to start character development and stuff like that, because that's the one thing that's kind of a little bit missing from the AEW Double or Nothing thing, is that if you have not seen a lot of them, you don't know any characters. and the event is so big that the average WWE fan is hearing about it and they're potentially going to be watching, which is tough because it's hard to get into matches without understanding the characters just as far as emotionally. So I felt like there's a lot of good opportunity with these singles matches to be able to develop characters. Like, for instance, Cody Rhodes and Dustin Rhodes, or Gold Dust as you would know him, or even Stardust as you would know him, but brothers facing each other, real big opportunity for character development for both sides. Mainly Cody, because he's going to be the one, he's I believe he's like part owner of this whole adventure, and you want to be able to invest in him going forward, and so you want to be able to see some of that. So not being able to see Pac, who is on the roster, go against Hangman Page, which is to be honest, probably one of their top guys. I mean, Hangman Page has to be one of their top singles competitors. Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho, Hangman Page, Cody Rhodes, all great athletes. So that match, unfortunately, we're not going to be seeing, which has actually created so much buzz because I would assume that Hangman Page is still wrestling. I would assume that. And so we've had a lot of Twitter involvement about certain people, like, hey, I'll wrestle him, and there's some potential. I'm not going to spoil like the idea of who could potentially be coming, because again, if you're a basic fan just with the WWE knowledge and you're going to tune in, like, I don't want to preemptively like open up the opportunity for some people to come in and have that match and have it be just incredible, like a shock. And there's some pretty easy names that could go into that bucket of who that is. But as far as that match, hopefully it's going to be somebody awesome. I'm voting for Joey Ryan because I think Joey Ryan's great. I think it would be perfect, but he is not signed to AEW. I don't believe, I don't know if he's officially signed. I'm not really in tune to that, but I haven't seen him.
I don't think
announced.
he has.
I don't think he's announced necessarily, but it would be a real great time for that to happen, because I think ideally AEW wants to support the independent, which is phenomenal. And I just can't see, if the product isn't great, which it's kind of proven to already be with All In, that every time why wouldn't anybody let their contract run out with WWE right now? Like, why not? It's exactly like it happened in WCW days. They were bidding back and forth, almost like, okay, Scott Hall, you got 500,000. Took it back to Vince. Vince is like, okay, I'll match it and get like 6, and then you take it back to WCW and get 8. It's like, why wouldn't you want that to happen? I just think it's better for wrestling all the way around if they can get the gimmicks over, and I'm just excited. I really am. The Young Bucks, Kenny Omega, Chris Jericho. I'm excited. I'm excited about everything, and I can tell you what I'm not excited about: Brock Lesnar winning Money in the Bank. What happened there,
dude? This is like a major like ranting point for me. I'm just like, I don't know. I don't understand why the WWE continues to push this guy, knowing that so many people have this just like disdain for him. It's so basically what happened. We have this, just in my eyes, epic men's Money in the Bank match, right? People are taking bumps left and right. It seemed like Finn Balor got destroyed with every ladder, or bounced off of every ladder. That match.
But in the worst ways. Like,
yeah, he took so many hits
in the side of the ladder, like the most unforgiving, stable part of it.
Right. And then there was he was climbing up a ladder, and then someone picked him up, and he did a sunset flip, right? And he flipped over, and Finn Balor hit this ladder.
Yeah,
that
it was
laying-
Andrade, my favorite.
Yeah, he hit that ladder and hit it so hard that he like bounced back up and then landed on it again. I was just like, oh my gosh, dude, it was just ridiculous. But long story short, they have this epic match. We know that Sami Zayn was beat up before the match by someone. No one knows who it was. My money's on Bray Wyatt, but that's just me. And so, you know, they start the match without the it was supposed to be 8 people. So then it ended up being 7. And so they start the match with 7 people. Ali's climbing a ladder. Looks like he's about to win. And then Brock Lesnar's music hits, and the crowd's like, "Oh, you know, they're freaking out." And then here comes Brock Lesnar in a full sprint, running down there, and he climbs up the ladder. No one's there to stop him. He grabs the
No,
briefcase.
Ali was all, like fingers on, like hands on, and
Well,
this
I
is
know
a
that, but he just took it real quick. It wasn't a big deal. It was just
right.
one. It was just a thing where you're just kind of like, man, is this really happening? Brock Lesnar wins, and then Michael Cole's like, oh my God, Brock Lesnar's the Money in the Bank. You know, initially I was like, okay, let me try and process this. But I just found myself getting so mad because it's like, if we're going to do this part-time crap with Brock Lesnar, what a freaking waste. I hate it so much if we're doing this part-time crap. If now that Brock Lesnar has officially retired from the UFC, if Brock Lesnar comes back to WWE on a full-time thing, I don't mind it at all because Brock Lesnar can walk around with that briefcase and just terrorize people. And you never know when he's going to use it. He's going to be smart about it. But then also, being the heel that he is, this is a good time for Vince McMahon to potentially say, oh, let's have Brock Lesnar terrorize people for a while and then try and cash it in and not get it. I mean, I would
Right,
like
but
to see
that's
that.
not going to happen because we just
Yeah.
proved that they just throw Brock Lesnar in there. Just
Yeah.
so it's really tough with Brock Lesnar. It's really tough with what the WWE is doing right now. And if you can cue that tweet up here, we'll go to it in just a minute here. But
Yeah, I got it.
Brock Lesnar, I understand. I do. I really do. Vince McMahon. Okay. I was talking about the Monday Night Wars, right? Back just a minute ago. I was talking about ratings wars. You know, back in the day, you know, they were talking about how WCW hit a 4.26 and WWE hit a 4.7. You know, literally Monday Night Raw hit 2 million viewers, less than half of what it hit back 20 years ago. Obviously, either the product is not good or it actually, I mean, 2 million viewers, it is good, but it's not bringing people back from the Attitude days. And this is why AEW is so awesome and so great, because I feel like it is going to do that. It's going to bring back that aggressive, or maybe that little bit different product that I feel like we're completely missing today, because WWE went PG, and I don't know. It just, they think about this. Ali has his hands on the briefcase. He's at the very top of the ladder. Brock Lesnar's music hits, and what does he do? What does he do? In
Freezes.
real life, I would just, clip goes the briefcase and down the ladder. And then, hey, sorry, Brock. There's no reason why at all I would wait for you to get all the way to the ladder. And then on top of that, there's also no reason why at all I would just let you toss this ladder off to the side while I plunged my face into the rope and started bleeding from the mouth. You know, it's stupid. It's poor writing. It's poor acting. You know, it's in just the situation. And you can understand why any fan is not happy about that, because it just doesn't make sense. Like, there's so many better ways it could be written, and so many better ways that it could have gone situationally to where that makes it more interesting. And then after that, you don't explain at all why Brock Lesnar even was allowed in the freaking match. There's no explanation. And so basically, you're trying to tell me that in any freaking ladder match, in any Money in the Bank match, somebody can just come into the freaking match and run up the ladder and grab the briefcase. That's basically what you told your fans. And it's bullshit. It's complete bullshit. It's complete stupidity that you would just go ahead and fucking think that the fans will just continue to watch this shit. AEW is coming. And you know what's happened? Go ahead and read that tweet right now.
Okay, so this tweet is from Chris Jericho at I am Jericho. And he said, "Awesome to see Brock Lesnar win the Money in the Bank match, even though he wasn't officially entered. Brock is the future of the business, and this perfect example of genius booking shows why WWE will remain on top forever. Hashtag Go Brock Go."
That basically means that that Vince McMahon / the WWE is willing to trash its entire roster rather than fire writers. Okay, the WWE is willing to trash these amazing wrestlers that are young and up and coming. I'm not a fan of Ali at all, but like I know a lot of people, including Xbox, everybody that love this guy. Apparently, he was supposed to win. Apparently, everybody told everybody that he was supposed to win. WWE brass said, "Listen, Ali's winning." I don't know if it was a right before they went out the curtain thing. I don't know if it was a, Ali, like, we're going to just hit this spot. Somebody's running. I don't know. But I'm not a big fan of Ali. But oh my gosh, Ricochet. Okay. Ricochet could have used this Money in the Bank to potentially propel him into superstardom. Drew McIntyre, not a young guy by any means, because this is his second stint in the WWE, but he's phenomenal. Could have used, honestly, almost everybody could have used the Money in the Bank. That if you had better riders, you could have created a better scenario for everybody involved. But yet, you literally fuck over your entire roster. And Andrade, like, dude, Andrade winning this fucking Money in the Bank would have been amazing.
It would have been incredible.
I had said on the pre-show that it would be nuts if somebody won the Money in the Bank, and then challenged the Intercontinental title holder. That's real writing. Okay, that is cool. That's something that's never been done before. That's matches with Finn Balor and storylines with Finn Balor. You can do it twice over. You can do Finn, the Demon, and then you can do a rubber. There's months of writing right there that you can do before you even get that guy to the next level. Shawn Michaels held the IC. Everybody holds the IC title before they eventually get into that bigger level. If you really want to stretch these true storylines over time, that's the way that I would personally do it. But again, you just have Brock Lesnar run in, and within like 2 minutes, he's up and he has the briefcase. And you've basically told your entire fan base, fuck you. And I don't know, man. I want AEW because that is bullshit. And I'm just ready to fucking write off the WWE because they're not doing anything to prove to me that they give a shit about. And this is after, sorry, I'm ranting now. This is after the fucking McMahon family stood inside the ring and said, "We're going to listen to you." And that was after they had fucking hit a rock bottom low on viewership. All of a sudden, they announced that Vince McMahon would be at Monday Night Raw. And then now you have to watch it because it's Vince. So you tune in and you get everybody. You get Triple H. We're going to bring back what you want, what the fan want. No fan wanted this. Not one. Not a single fan. So what are they doing? Why? It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I'm gonna still watch it, but it's ridiculous.
Yeah, so I think the WWE cameras after Brock Lesnar took the briefcase off the hook had it perfectly. It showed all these wrestlers who were just in that grueling match put their bodies and their careers on the line. You know, it shows all these wrestlers sitting outside the ring, just with this dejected look on their face. Like, man, I just worked for like 30 plus minutes, kicking the crap out of my body, and then Brock Lesnar comes in for 2 seconds and wins this match. It really just showed exactly how I think a lot of people felt during Brock Lesnar's title runs in the WWE when he was on a part-time schedule. And it was just very annoying. And I completely agree with you. Like, not a single fan wanted that. No one wanted to see that. No one wanted that music to hit. I mean, he got the reaction that he got because he's Brock Lesnar, but it was just so stupid that he was the guy that would come out. I'm not saying that like I even have like a better option for who would come out, but I would just say that like, why is he coming out? That doesn't make any sense. I mean, yeah, we haven't seen him since WrestleMania, but you essentially squashed him at WrestleMania using Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins beat him in like no time. And so I don't know, man. I had a really big problem with it. And you would think that because AEW is like, they're here, they're coming, they're only going to get better from here. And you would think that because AEW is right there in the rearview mirror, that you would do whatever you could to stand up and make yourself look good, put your best foot forward. And if you want to believe the BS that the McMahon said about, oh, we want to do what the fans want, that's not true.
Well, they proved it. They proved it.
You don't need to. Vince McMahon has always loved. That's the reason why, like, the WCW guys used to refer to the WWE/F that it was the land of the giants. Chris Jericho always says that on his podcast because he was like, "Oh, when I went over to the WWF at the time, everyone said it was the land of the giants. You can't be a big guy because Chris Jericho was viewed as a cruiserweight when he was in WCW. He was a small guy, and it was just one of those things.
He changed it. He helped change that, you know.
Oh, for sure. His first feud was with The Rock when he first debuted on WWE television. So
he's amazing.
Obviously, yeah,
he's amazing, great. And he's also part of that reason why AEW is just gonna light off. I mean, Chris Jericho right now is the most influential indie wrestler almost. He's not indie, but he's wrestling indie. You know, he's going to New Japan, he's going to Ring of Honor, he's doing this, he's doing that, like, and he's doing that as a guy that made a shit ton of money already. He doesn't continue to need the absolute money. He can go to Vince McMahon right now and probably get a $10 million deal. But why doesn't he do that? Because he believes in wrestling.
And one of the cool things is Chris Jericho. I don't know if you know this, but Chris Jericho is the creator of the Money in the Bank. Did you know that? It was his idea.
I'm going to start calling him Christ Jericho. Because he is the second coming.
So he created that. He created the
He created the Money in the Bank, man.
Yeah, that's incredible. Hey, sorry about that. Hey, so talk about some more Money in the Bank and what you
Okay, so here's what I got. Here's what I also got for all of us here. Let me give you a little bit in a nutshell. Brock Lesnar, Money in the Bank, I understand. You do not believe in your talent. You do not believe in the small wrestler. You do not believe in athleticism. You believe in showmanship. You believe in big guys that are angry, which there are big guys that are angry that I love. Lars Sullivan, amazing. I can't get enough of Lars right now. But when you start booking him improperly, that's when I am just had enough. But now what WWE has tried to throw up on us is this all of a sudden new title that has the moniker of not being able to be defended until the third hour, which they're basically just saying, hey, listen, we're only going to tease you with something towards the very end of the show so that you have to watch. That's bullshit again. I call bullshit on that. Number two, you have Mick Foley come out and introduce this title. Why? Why did you have Mick Foley? Oh, I know, because it's basically a PG version of the Hardcore Championship. So WWE unveils the 24/7 title. It looks like shit, okay? A green wasted strap, because that's about the only color that they don't have anymore. It looks like a coin on top. It's a medallion on top. The 24/7 title. Now, I'm going to go ahead and let you describe to me what you told me today, that I said, hey, listen, save it for the cast, okay? Because you had seemed like you were quite perturbed about this 27 or 24/7 title. I feel like I have a little bit of a rebuttal to what you're going to say, but only in the way of what could happen, not what is going to happen. And so I may be completely off, but please, as a disgruntled fan, from the beginning of Brock Lesnar towards the end of this 24/7 title that was Monday Night Raw, please give me your disgruntledness, kind sir.
Well, I would just say that I there's just a lot of frustration because as a fan of wrestling, there's a lot of rumors floating around about what that title could be. Um, a lot of people were thinking that it could be the hardcore title, which did have that 24/7 rule on it. And I love that idea of a 24/7 rule. It makes it so that it's always in play. It's interesting. I just think overall it's a good idea. It's cool because it's like the storyline basically makes itself. All you have to do is plug a wrestler in and it's awesome. And so I enjoy that. My problem with it is a couple of things. Number one being that title looks stupid. It looks like I could have made it in my living room. It's a green belt with I believe Matt said like a gold medallion looking thing on it, on the front of it. It just looks ridiculous. It looks fake. It looks like if I went to Walmart and went down the kids aisle, like I could find something like that in the kids aisle. So I hated that. I was a little bit annoyed because there was
Hold
I
on,
felt
real
like
quick. If you're a perpetual listener of this cast, last week the fucking ice cream man drove by here too, and it must be a prime time in my neighborhood because that motherfucker is here right now. And I had the same exact feeling I had last week. The second I hear that music, it's like I just want to just fucking throw all this shit up in there and run as fast as I can to get that gumball nose.
Anyway, my problem was I felt like you had an opportunity if you would have brought back the hardcore title. Even though I guess I kind of tricked myself because I kept hearing them say it's a new title, it's a new title. And I was like, oh, they're going to bring back the hardcore title, but that's not a new title. That would have just been them bringing it back. But I wanted that, and it didn't happen. And so my major problem with it was, as WWE has signed this new deal with Fox in the fall, they're going to be moving the Fox. I was just annoyed. I felt like you had a real opportunity to bring back the hardcore title and really take the PG thing off of off of the business. You could go back to whatever you had before. I'm not sure what it was before, PG-13 or whatever it is, but it'd be a little more serious than PG, right? And so you have this PG thing, which a lot of people complain about or have complained about over the years. So if you bring back that hardcore title, you can take that off of there, and it's not that big of a deal. I felt like they missed an opportunity there. And just like I said, man, that title is absolutely atrocious. It's so stupid. There are some things about that are really annoying. That annoy me as like an old school wrestling fan, and I really didn't enjoy it. But now I'm gonna tell you something that I actually really do like about it. Like I said earlier, the 24/7 rule, love it. I love that whole idea of a 24/7 rule, a title that it can be defended at any time. The story essentially writes itself. And then another thing, as AEW continues to get stronger, they're going to be targeting guys who aren't getting the TV time and went out of their deals, or their deals expire and they go over there, right? This 24/7 title gives WWE the opportunity to put guys on TV who you might not see as much as you would like to. Like personally, I want to see Robert Roode a lot more, and I don't get to see him that much. The best mustache in the business, by the way.
Wrong.
Oh my
Wrong.
God. Here we go. Who's got the best mustache?
Joey Ryan's mustache.
That
is
doesn't
the
count.
best. That counts. How does that not count?
He hasn't been on like TV yet.
Okay, that doesn't mean it doesn't count.
It doesn't count yet. I'll say yet.
Okay, you know what? I might half agree with you, just because I really do feel like it's not easy being a fan of like the indies or like the non WWE. Like it's taken me a while too to also appreciate it. I think I appreciate it so much more now because not only am I involved in it like personally, but hearing a lot of stories and seeing a lot of stuff about how like much it really does take to be a wrestler. It's so hard for me personally to discredit an indie wrestler, like or the idea, like double air quotes indie, because they're also a wrestler. And like there's a lot of indie wrestlers where the gimmick, if put on TV, it is gonna hit. Like, but it's just because there's only one product on television. Again, another reason why AEW should be watched. Another reason why people need to fucking get behind it, because become a fan. Become a fan. AEW is going to do for pro wrestling what it's needed in that 20 years since WCW was gone. It's going to bring another, well, I guess TNA tries to do that too, but again, I don't know. It felt like TNA during that time, which is now Impact, during that time just hired a lot of older wrestlers and didn't really help the younger ones. Nowadays, the Impact is doing a lot of that, but it's just, man, wrestling right now is phenomenal. And I just feel like if you're a WWE fan, which it sounds like you're just saying like Robert Roode's mustache, not to say you are purely a WWE fan, but it's like there's a lot of people like you. It's like, dude, it's not on that much on TV. It's not like you can flip the channel on a Monday or Tuesday and watch 5 hours of it. You really can't. Ring of Honor's on Friday nights. You like have to set your DVR to really watch it. And then New Japan, it's got its replays. And like, again, you have to really be seeking it out. So to me, both that an Impact, I think, is wherever it is. I don't even know, but it's on Twitch, which is nice. Same with House of Hardcore is on Twitch. Again, you have to be seeking out that product. The WWE, up until what's coming in the fall with AEW, has been the only product on TV that you can readily grab your freaking remote, easily turn to that product.
Yeah, and there's
changing.
There's going to be times where like you're just really frustrated with like whatever product the WWE is putting out there, and you're going to straight up just say, "Oh, okay, that's it. I'm going over to AEW," or vice versa, you know. And I remember doing that back in the day, like you said, you know, Nitro came on earlier, or Thunder or whatever it was came on an hour earlier, so you got to watch a whole hour of it before WWE even came on TV. And so I remember as a kid in my room sitting there with my TV on top of my dresser with my remote, just going back and forth, you know, trying to watch both of them the best I could. And um, it was it's like I said in previous casts, as a consumer of professional wrestling and a fan of professional wrestling, having um two wrestling businesses with major TV deals, um it's it's a good thing. You get more to consume. If you don't want to watch 5 hours of wrestling, WrestleMania is 5 hours long or whatever it was.
Or longer.
Yeah, if you don't want to watch that, then don't watch it. You have another option, and that's what the AEW keeps saying. They're like, hey, we are an alternative. We are not competition, and so it is what it is.
So let
But yeah,
me bring the positivity to not to directly end this cast in a minute, but I'm gonna harken back now to the positive, and I'm gonna end on the positive. I may be reading into this 24/7 championship, not reading in, but I may be overjudging it, and I have realized that we record these on Wednesdays, sometimes Sundays, but generally Wednesdays. So it's after Monday and Tuesday of Raw and SmackDown. I am slightly interested in the actions of the 24/7 championship. Here's the thing. Back in the day, I loved the hardcore championship. What I did not understand about the hardcore championship that I now understand, just because I'm a smark, which is a smart mark. What I understand now about the hardcore championship from before is I was actually watching the hardcore title and the gimmick behind it, but I didn't understand that I was watching undercard wrestlers vie for that title. Crash Holly, you know, what comes to mind for me. Big, that dude was not a big anything in, you know, the 3 hours of Monday Night Raw or whatever it was. It's just like, but he got his segment for the hardcore championship, and that was entertaining. And it was character development for an undercard guy, and he held prestige because of the title. I can remember they're at like a kid's fun place, like a McDonald's or something, and they're in the ball pit, you know, and it's just like, man, if they can bring that back. Now, they don't call it the hardcore title because it's PG, but also because I don't get the idea that they're bringing trash cans and kendo sticks to anything. But if they brought back the idea that whoever has the title is coming down an escalator at the mall and somebody with a referee pops up behind them and just clubs them in the middle of the mall, that's interesting to me and fun. You know, and what really is shitty about the WWE is they're like, oh, hey, we're gonna put this on in the third hour of Raw. So it's like, fuck, man, I really gotta wait to the third hour of Raw just to see what's going on with this title. But I get it. What they shouldn't have done is tell me that it's coming in the third hour. Because if I'm interested in it, now I have to watch all of Raw just to find when it's coming. You could have kept it in the third hour Raw anyway, but just not even told me about it because I would have been waiting for it anyway. So that's something that I do enjoy and appreciate about the title. Also, R-Truth. He's an amazing person to have this title to get this going, mainly because he's funny. Him and the Carmella. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say on R-Truth, man, he's so funny. After Money in the Bank ended, I was on Twitter and one guy was like, hey, I know everyone's pissed off about Money in the Bank, but I'm just a little bit pissed off that R-Truth wasn't in the match because how funny would it have been if R-Truth won the Money in the Bank briefcase and then challenged one of the women for their title? I just thought that was funny.
That's the same thing that, happened when they won. Him and Carmella won the last entrant in the Royal Rumble. We did not podcast. We were going to, but we didn't. But it would have been hilarious if R-Truth, last entrance of the Royal Rumble, came as the last entrant in the women's Royal Rumble, because they were going with that, he's an idiot thing. Right now, that's good TV, man. And I will literally give it to the WWE right now, because they're putting the most gimmicky part of their show to R-Truth, and he's okay. And I like that. I appreciate that. What I would like to see, to be honest, is the women get involved. I would like Carmella to fucking crack him with a vase or something like that and take that title. And now you got guys and girls, going after that title. And that could be fun. That could be fun. Another thing, as far as positivity, we haven't talked about it. Dolph Ziggler made his return on SmackDown. Annihilated Kofi Kingston. Okay. Now, there is a negative to this. He annihilates Kofi Kingston, and then he's going to be challenging for the title at Super Showdown. Super Showdown is a sold show, is a bot show. June 7th. I mean, just in a couple weeks. So I don't expect him to win the title, which is really stupid and unfortunate because I'm such a huge Dolph Ziggler fan. But he did his absolute best to sell me on the idea that he needs and wants this title. He did not sell me on the idea that he's going to win the title. But Dolph Ziggler coming back is a big plus to the brands. He is that Shawn Michaels type character, somebody they can always know that will get the job done. He did an incredible job doing heel work to, jumping Kofi, running his head through the chair to the side of the freaking announcer's booth, which in my eyes looked about as real as it can get. But his promo work was amazing, because here's the thing. When Dolph came back, you were just thinking, oh, great, they're putting Dolph in this heel character. He's a great heel, blah, 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 blah. When he comes back for his promo, he's like now giving you kind of a face promo. He's holding back tears, talking about how that title could have been his and should have been his. And he hasn't won the title in a long time or ever. And he needs it. He needs it for his own personal psyche, and he's emotional about people looking past him, even though he's a great wrestler. And kudos to Kofi, because Kofi's great, but he's better. And it kind of put you on the defense on him. And he just fucking attacked Kofi Kingston with the chair, but now he's kind of crying on the mic, and it's like, fuck, how am I supposed to feel? I don't know, but I like it, because I'm a big Dolph Ziggler fan. It's really kind of great. It's a dynamic that you're gonna watch. Like that's a fun dynamic. It's not a true heel. Like this guy believes like he deserves it, and if he has to get crazy to go out there and show you that he deserves it, then that's okay, and that's not necessarily a heel, and that's interesting to me. And so I don't know, what did you think about Dolph Ziggler's promo? Were you behind it? Did you have kind of the same feelings I had, or did you kind of see it differently?
Well, I think we're both kind of right there on the same page with that. I really enjoyed it because I have always felt like Dolph Ziggler was a pretty good wrestler, and I've always liked his like athleticism and energy and everything that he brings to a wrestling match. Um, I just always felt like he was not really getting pushed the way I thought he deserved to be pushed. And so it was interesting to see him out there and attack Kofi and all that stuff. I did like his actions as far as him kind of being a heel and all that stuff. And that that promo, he really did kind of go into like a kind of like a face type of promo, where it was much more emotional. And you're right when you talk about him being like the guy who was about to cry, and he felt like his opportunity was there, and that maybe they just didn't believe in him and all of those things. I really enjoyed it. Dolph Ziggler showing up was a good thing. I knew he was still under contract, but I kind of wasn't really sure what WWE was doing with him. I thought that they were gonna let him like ride out his contract and that was gonna be it. I wasn't sure if he was like battling an injury or coming off of a surgery or any of that type of stuff. But it was good to have him back. SmackDown kind of showed the return of Big E. He can't really do anything. I think he had some type of knee surgery or something like that. I saw that he had a brace on his knee, so he couldn't really do much. And so it was cool to see all of that. Dolph Ziggler, like I said, is a great wrestler, high energy all the time. I'm glad to see him there because Dolph Ziggler has been around the company for quite a while now, and is just totally deserving of being in that spotlight. And I really enjoyed it. And the thing about the pay-per-view that's coming up on the 7th, I believe it's in Saudi Arabia, or it was before Saudi Arabia, I think. It's a Middle Eastern country for sure. But they'll be over there, and they've kind of done a little bit of promoting for that. There's some matches that'll be over there on that card that they haven't really had a chance to build. Like Undertaker versus Goldberg is one of the matches.
Undertaker versus Goldberg. Are you
Right.
serious? That's a match made in heaven.
Well,
20 years ago.
Yeah, 20 years ago it was. Yeah, you're right.
But hey, I'm interested in watching it. This time around, I believe it is in Saudi Arabia, but I didn't talk about it earlier because I'm not exactly sure. But they definitely aren't promoting that it's in Saudi Arabia this year. Last year they got a big backlash.
Time out right now. You are breathing so heavy. Did you just run a mile while I was talking, or are you just really struggling to get in that chair?
Okay, listen. I already talked about the depth of this thing. It seems like it's way behind me, but it's right there. No, I got camera magic. Okay, so you just saw him talking, but for that last interjection, I ran through my house, grabbed me a beer, went to the bathroom, tried to get back as soon as I can. And you don't know where I live, so it might have been a fucking obstacle course getting to and fro. It's basically an obstacle course, and I'm basically tired about it, but it's only because I've had a couple beers. But anyway, it seems like The Undertaker and Goldberg is a couple beers away from a great match. Okay.
Yeah.
I can't see Undertaker and Goldberg doing anything great. I don't know, but it's definitely got to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to invoke the child in you, which kind of brings back this whole entire discussion.
Yeah,
we're fans. Go ahead.
It's one of those things. It's like Goldberg is known for having short matches. So, like, how long is this match really going to last?
Goldberg could die in this match. So I think everybody needs to just.
So could Undertaker.
But outside of that, Kofi versus Dolph Ziggler, that should be a good match. You got Roman Reigns versus somebody.
Shane.
Is it Shane?
Yeah.
Okay, that's probably garbage. But they got a 50-man over the rope battle royal, which is what they had last year, which was entertaining.
It was. They didn't have 50 last year, did they?
I thought they did. Yeah.
Well,
the greatest Royal Rumble.
When they talked about it on Monday, they were like, "Oh, this is the largest battle royal in history."
Okay, maybe it wasn't 50. Maybe it was
40.
Maybe it was 40. But
Who
either
knows?
way, it's going to be fun. And that what they're going to do, because sold show. So the Saudi Arabians, let me remind you, I believe the Saudi Arabians control all the gas in the world. And
They do.
so exactly how much money those motherfuckers have. So they're trying to stimulate their economy from this. So they will be paying for surprises in this Royal Rumble, this Battle Royal, just like the Royal Rumble. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
and they don't let women wrestle. I don't know if you noticed that from last year, but there are no women on the card at all because of the way that the culture is over there. None of the women wrestle, and even Stephanie McMahon, when she goes over there, she has to wear the whole
Yeah, Renee wears all black. She was open faced last time they went, which is a big deal. And I think that they are.
nah,
Yeah.
open face isn't a big deal.
It's not.
It
Okay.
no, they can have their face open, but everything else has to be covered.
Okay. Yeah, I remember Renee was there and she was wearing black and it was modest. So, but hopefully, it would be quite awesome to see if the WWE changes the entire Saudi, way of life, just because, which would be kind of cool, which I would give it to them. I feel like they're definitely trying. That's kind of where I don't see AEW like really getting to that point, but who knows, man? This is a great time in professional wrestling. Anyway, Michael, let's end this thing. What do you got in the end while I kind of cue things up here?
I would just say that if you're able, you should definitely be watching the AEW pay-per-view this weekend. It's like their big kickoff thing. Brandy Rhodes is the wife of Cody Rhodes, who is like the vice president with AEW. She's been saying that it's going to be the best pay-per-view of the year. That's including WrestleMania and all those things. I'm sure she's kind of shooting a little high with that, but I mean, you got to put your sights high if you have goals in mind. So if you have the time, if you are a big wrestling fan like Matt and I, then you should definitely jump on that,
If you're a
watch
wrestling
that.
fan at all, I mean,
Yeah,
even if you aren't, I will kind of say this, but people don't know this very much, but one of the AEW ringside announcers is this guy named Alex Marvez. Alex Marvez, I actually know from NFL radio on Sirius XM. He hosts the single greatest show on the NFL channel on Sirius XM. He is knowledgeable. He's awesome. And he knows his stuff. I mean, he is pro NFL. It's fantastic that he is the guy that they have tapped as one of their JRs, essentially on top of JR. What he has said is that he, like probably many others, are 50 plus and haven't watched wrestling in years. And what AEW is doing right now is cause for those older Attitude Era fans that have just completely fell out because WWE has changed the entire scope of what is wrestling. It's called sports entertainment now, and it's just not what a lot of these fans who grew up on wrestling, understand or what they know. It's like if you're a fan of rap music and you're 35 years old to 50 years old, like the new age rap music sucks to those guys, like they can barely listen to it. And so this AEW is supposed to be for those fans of yesteryear, fans that, put a lot of time into it. That all of a sudden WWE is the only show in town and they don't listen to that type of fan. So they fell out of it. Not only did they fall out of it, but they have no reason to come back. And so Alex Marvez calls himself as one of those people who are calling all of you calling those fans that if you haven't gotten back into pro wrestling, this is the reason. This is the way. Get back into pro wrestling with AEW. Get back into it with Double or Nothing. The first pay-per-view event from an independent, like, just please watch it. Sorry to cut you off, but Alex Marvez is amazing. Watch him. He is great. He's a great voice. You got JR. Nobody knows what JR is doing exactly. Is he calling play-by-play? Is he going to be just in the back? Are you never going to see him? What's going on? I don't know. Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off. I just, that's a big deal. Even if you're not a fan of wrestling, but you used to be, come back. This is the time to start coming back.
Yeah, just like Matt said, watch it. If you like wrestling, come back, watch it. Totally worth it. Matt, you were saying that you could watch it through the Bleacher Report app, right? Something like that.
Yeah, so now you can buy it regular strict pay-per-view. You can watch it through the Bleacher Report app. I believe Bleacher Report, you can buy a monthly subscription just like ESPN Plus or anything like that, and I believe you can get it on that, but I'm not exactly sure as far as like getting it for free if you do the monthly subscription, or if you get the monthly subscription and then you have to buy the pay-per-view. I believe it's $50. But I did see today that it was $59.99. Either way, completely worth it. Please, everybody, if you're not out camping, which is complete worst time of the year to be camping, as far as, because you didn't know, it's not up to you, but still, invite your friends over, man. I will just kind of say this. I will end on this. Michael, we've got a couple other friends that, I wouldn't say I've reconnected with, but we've reconnected based on wrestling as far as that. But our little group chat that we got going on is kind of awesome. It's kind of filled with that reconnection of wrestling, and it's with friends that we used to watch wrestling with, or we all used to, be big marks of the old school wrestling, and that we're kind of reconnecting. And this is definitely something that you should set aside time for. Watch it. Try to fall in love with some of these guys. We've got another friend, that has not watched NBA, since a tragic event in history happened.
2008.
Yeah. So with every sport, if you fall out and you fall out for a super extended period of time, there's always a reason to come back. Whether you fall in love with a person, whether you fall in love with the team all over again, whether you fall in love with the sport all over again, there's a reason why you loved it. And the reasons why you used to love it are the same reasons why you can love it today if you don't let yourself get in the way. And that's what I told myself when I got back into it, however many years ago it was. But as you get older, as you kind of move on, and again, I'm talking to these, 35 to 50-year-old, or 30 to 50, or even 25 to 50, people like me who took a break from pro wrestling, or took a break from anything as far as loving it. And just remember that when we were kids, we loved it for a reason. Being a child is a beautiful thing. We don't have bills. We don't, what we enjoy every day is waking up to video games and walking down the street and playing till the fucking street lights came on, and skateboarding, and, just cruising around town with your friends and throwing water balloons. And it's like, man, sometimes in this life, there are things that we can go back to that remind us of our childhood. Music, movies, certain movies. And, although it may not be the same today, it's completely worth trying to tap back into those times when you were a kid, or when you threw that water balloon at your dad's face, and just that amount of joy that it gave you. If you're 30 years old right now and that was you, fill up a water balloon right now, step into your dad's house and rock him with that fucking water balloon, man, because you know what? Both of you will enjoy it. Just like getting back into that sport. For our friend, it's basketball. But for most of us right now who has listened to the end of this podcast, which won't be many right now, but hopefully in the end it will be a lot, get back into the sport or get back into it because you loved it for some reason. There was something that drew you to it. If you can tap back into that mentality, it's almost like meditation. You can let go of who you are right now and try to suspend belief back into these characters and these actions and this awesome world that is pro wrestling or that is whatever sport it is that you want to get back or that sports team that you want to love again. And I recommend to do so because it allows you to be young again or live free again. Or if you're young right now, it allows you to understand, or hopefully this podcast allows you to understand like where it was back in the Monday Night Wars. Like you may not have understood that. You may have seen John Cena and been just a complete John Cena mark, and that's why you watch wrestling. Great. But hopefully you go and you tap into that podcast that I talk about. Then you go on the WWE network and you watch that, docuseries of the Monday Night Wars. Or maybe you go and you look up Joey Ryan and you say, you know what? I'm going to see that dick flip that you were just talking about. and that could bring you back into the greatness that is pro wrestling. And especially, like I said, now that I've become personally involved with it, I see what these guys go through every month, every other weekend, whatever it is. Like they've got a dream, and nobody should tell them that their dream isn't worth fighting for. You can be 100 years old and try to live out your dream. You can be 5, you can be 15, you can be 25, whatever it is, man. Go out and live your dream, because life is not long enough for you not to be happy all the time. And so my name's Matt. I'm signing off. This is the Flex Network. Michael, anything last words?
Just stay tuned. Follow us on all the socials. Find us on the Apple Podcast. Find us on Spotify. Working on a couple other things. So just stay tuned. Keep up with our stuff. And as for Matt and myself, we'll see you later.
This is the Flex Network. This is the Flex Network. Flex on them. Flex on everybody. This right here is the Flex Network. Yeah. Flex on the G. Flex.